Hi Halloweenies, I'm Ozzy the Horror Cub, and this is part 2 of Nightwears on Elm Street. Now if you don't know, we've been playing a game called Slash or Slay. We've been critiquing the fashions in the Nightmare on Elm Street series, and we've already done Freddy Krueger and Tina. Rod was also brought up, and you need to see him in his tighty whities. That's how the game works. If we love the fashion choices that we see in the Nightmare on Elm Street movie, the original 1984 classic, then we are gonna slay that choice. However, if we hate the fashion that we see on our screen, we are gonna slash. So slash, we do not like it. Slay, we love it. This video, we're gonna be looking more at Nancy, Glenn, and my favorite mother, Marge Thompson. Slay Marge Thompson, work, yes! So Nancy and Glenn, they're in Tina's house as Tina is getting butchered on the ceiling, off the ceiling, on the bed. And what I love about when they finally pop into the room and they get to see what happened with Tina, Nancy is wearing a gorgeous football gown, okay? So this football gown, I know some of you might say jersey. She's wearing a number 11 jersey, and I think later on Johnny Depp wears a number 10. What team that actually was supposed to be? If anybody knows, let me know below. Were those actually real jerseys? But you know, she was working it, because you know what I loved about it? Again, it goes back to Tina. Tina was wearing an elongated shirt, the button up when she got killed in her nightmare in the second dream sequence. What I didn't love about it was I thought it was too short. I think it could have been elevated a little bit more. I think it could have been a little bit longer, and I think she could have had a different pair of panties that maybe wasn't white. That's just my critique on it, so I'm giving Tina a slash. But Miss Nancy, Miss Thompson, you coming out here with that jersey dress, and it is a little bit elongated. It's like what I said, it's not quite at her knees. It's quite longer, so you don't see what her panty color is. And I don't even need to see what her panty color is because she's wearing this like pink fuchsia jersey, rocking the number 11, and she's not having sex with Johnny Depp in this movie. Let me tell you something. If I had her chance, Heather, I would have taken every little chance that I had to be with Johnny Depp. I know he wasn't the star that he is today. I just think, my God, how good looking. And you know, Skeet Ulrich, for Billy Loomis in Scream 1996, the reason why Wes Craven picked him was because of how much he looked like Johnny Depp. So, love, love, love Johnny Depp. Now, his look in this, we're gonna talk about, but Nancy, you're gonna get a slay. You're slaying it up tonight, girl. Now, later on, Nancy's gonna go on to have some questionable fashion choices, but I think what we can all agree on is that we love her hair. Nancy's hair is just coiffed. It's 80s quintessential horror. When you look at the poster and she's laying on the bed and her hair is just expanded out, that's a slay. That's a slay because how much conditioner you must have used to make it look so gorgeous. Nancy, you stole my heart. And then when you get that gorgeous streak in it after the dream clinic, when you're trying to decipher what's happening with your mom, and the white streak comes and you've pulled Freddy's fedora out of your dream, you were serving that hair. So props to Nancy on serving that hair. So we're gonna give you a slay for right now, Miss Nancy. You slayed at the house down Boots Gaga. Yes, work, final girl realness. Now Johnny Depp's character Glenn lied to his parents in order to come to this sleepover. Yet you're not in pajamas, Glenn, and I'm seriously disappointed. So I wanna know, were you wearing anything underneath those covers? Because when you come to Tina's room, you're fully dressed. You're wearing a white polo and jeans. So this is not a nighttime look. We're gonna give you a slash. I just feel like you could have been wearing pajamas, you could have been wearing shorts, you could have just been like Rod and down to your knickers. So I would have been down to see some underwear. Johnny Depp, why aren't you showing us underwear in this movie? Later on, you're gonna get to wear that football jersey, which is gonna show that crop top midriff, which we love. And you know, if you've seen Scream, then you know that Tatum, when she's talking to Sydney on her porch after they were let go from school, so they're on Tatum's patio, and she's like, you sound like you're in some Wes Carpenter horror movie. What she's wearing, that jersey, is Johnny Depp's jersey from A Nightmare on Elm Street 1984. So I think it's fierce and fabulous. Hate this look, hate what you chose. I just think it's nighttime. And let's just say you did want to fool around with Nancy. How were you enticing Nancy wearing that garment? I just think you could have spiced it up a little bit. Okay? Now the next time that we're gonna see Nancy, we're midway through the film. Now we know that Nancy's gonna be our main final girl. We're gonna talk so much about Nancy Thompson on our channel because straight up, she is a resourceful final girl. She knew how to take Freddy out. I loved when she was reading that survival book at the very end of the movie and Johnny Depp is eating his burger and he's like, well, why are you reading that? And she's like, I'm into survival. And I love that. I live because she's everything a good final girl should be. Now remember, I said that we had the prototypes for what a final girl should be, with Sally, with Jess, and then Lori being our main example of what the final girl became. And Carol Clover does a great look at this in her book, Men, Women, and Chainsaws, talking about who the final girl is, but I really think Nancy was constructed to be the ultimate final girl. I know she bites it in part 3, and spoilers if you've never seen Dream Warriors, but you're the one that's missing out because you haven't seen that fabulous Dawkins music video. Warriors! I can't go that high. Love Dawkins. I would put that on this channel, but they would copyright strike the music. Live for any good horror movie soundtrack. He's back, the man behind the mask, Alice Cooper, Friday the 13th Part 6, living, loving, having it. Dawkins, Dream Warriors, living, loving, having it. I don't think they should have killed Nancy in Part 3. But then they turn around and they kill Kristen, and then they turn around and they kill Kincaid, and then they turn around and kill Joey. The Nightmare on Elm Street series just lives to like mess with your mind. Do not get too attached to these characters because you'll probably never see them again. Now we're fortunate enough to see Nancy again in New Nightmare, and she's playing herself, Heather Langenkamp. She's not playing Nancy. At the end, she does get to kind of play Nancy a little bit as she gets to go save her son. But I live for her as a final girl because she's smart, she's resourceful, she loves her friends, she is in the midst of all of this, and she's smarter than the parents. And I think that's something that the Elm Street movies, they know how to convey. The parents are against you in these films, and the parents are against you because they know about Freddy. They were the ones that killed Freddy. They're trying to keep everything under wraps. I think that's why I love Marge so much, because Marge knows what she's going through. So when she pulls that fedora out of the dream clinic, and you know, Fred Krueger, Fred Krueger. Do you know who he is? Because he's coming after me now. I love that. I live. I think more horror movie final girls should be like Nancy. She's resilient, she's brave, and something that I love about the character, and this changes it a little bit. There was an alternate scene with Marge when she takes Nancy into the basement and she tells the Freddy origin story. Originally, Nancy was supposed to have a sister that Freddy knocked off before they burned him and he became Freddy Krueger, the man that haunts her in dreams. But having that does change the story a lot, because now you're going into familiar ties, now you're going into, we hid this for a reason. I don't think she should have had a sister. I think leave that blank. It's kind of like Halloween 2 with Laurie and Michael. A little bit of ambiguity, well, I don't even know what the word is, but a little bit of it goes a long way. Ambiguous. If you're ambiguous with your characters, it goes a long way. I don't need to know Michael's motive. I don't need to know Freddy's motive. All I know is Freddy was crazy. He was slashing up the children of Elm Street, and the parents got their revenge, and they burned him alive, man. They did the Molotov cocktail, and they burnt Freddy alive. And you know what? If you ever watch a great series, well, great for me because I love horror, but if you're watching this, you love horror too. Freddy's Nightmares. It was like the original Tales of the Crypt. Every new week you got a different story, but the first episode, No More Mr. Nice Guy, you got to see Freddy's origin story. And they kind of allude to it in Freddy vs. Jason. No, the children gave me my power. But I really do like in No More Mr. Nice Guy for Freddy's Nightmares. It was low budget, I get what you're gonna say, but I loved what they did, and I loved how they told the story about the acquittal with Freddy, because they forgot to sign the search warrant, and that's how he got off. So that's something really interesting to me, is that Freddy's not a tragic character. Freddy's not a sympathetic character. It's not like Jason Voorhees. You can easily look at Jason and you can say, I sympathize with him, in a sense. Maybe not zombie Jason from 6 moving onward, but with original Jason with the character intent of a little boy drowning in a lake. You feel bad. You really do. I'm not saying his mother was justified to go to Camp Blood and cause the shenanigans that ensued moving forward, but I get it. I totally get it. It's the tragic anti-hero in a sense. You look at somebody like Samara from The Ring, and it's the exact same story. Though she's cursing people with this videotape to kill them every 7 days, this was a poor little girl who got smoked on her head by her adopted mother and put into a well for 7 days to live. I feel bad for Samara. And that's another thing when it comes to looking at these anti-heroes. Carrie White is a perfect example of an anti-hero. You know, the Black Prom. Maybe things could have went differently. Maybe Sue didn't have to ask Tommy to take her. Maybe Carrie didn't even have to go to the prom. Maybe everything could have had a happy ending. Maybe Chris didn't have to be such a B-word and toss the blood on Carrie as she was having that great moment. You know, the camera's spinning and her and Tommy are just dancing. I love it, but that's the anti-hero. It's built for you to say, you know, I get where this character is coming from, and I can kind of sympathize to a certain extent of where they're going. With Freddy Krueger, could you sympathize with it? I know the P word gets brought up in the future installments. I'm looking at you, remake, because you take Freddy's character and you totally diverge it into something different. It's implied, but it's, he's a child killer in the original. They didn't go to the depths that they do for the remake to change the character. He is a child killer, so he is a bad guy. So do you feel sympathy for Freddy? No. In the remake, they really try and make you sympathize with Freddy because they were like, well, was he guilty? Did we lie about the cave? Did we lie about him taking us there? I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear about it. To me, that's not... You could still do horror, and you could still make it great. I just don't think that had anything to do with horror. I think that's tragic. These poor kids were victims, and you're gonna try and make a sympathetic story out of it, which turned not to be a sympathetic story. Spoiler alert, if you saw the remake. I just didn't go for it. So, Freddy, I don't feel sympathy for. So I get where Marge is coming from. I get that she doesn't want to traumatize Nancy. I get that's why she hid the glove. I get that's why she's lying. And I get that's why she divorced from her husband. I get that's why she's taken on this addiction of drinking so heavily. Because, you know, she's trying to, like, make an amends for all the mistakes that she's made, and she's trying to protect Nancy the best that she can. She just doesn't know how to do it. And the bars on the house is how she thinks she's gonna protect Nancy. Now, the bars on the house always made me question, do you think that she thought that Freddy didn't get out of the fire? Why did she put the bars on the house? Was it always to prevent Nancy from getting out? Did she think that Nancy was becoming a little psychotic at that point? All I know is that I understand where Marge was coming from, so I get it. Now we're getting to the end of the movie, and now Johnny Depp's character, what always made me mad was that Nancy, she does know the story now. She does learn it from Marge. She knows who's after her. She knows that it's Freddy. When she's on the phone with him, she never says Freddy Krueger. She never says there's this man that our parents burned and he's after us. I really wish she would have given Johnny all the details, but here is where we get to see Johnny Depp, and we're gonna critique his fashion. He is now wearing his iconic number 10 jersey. It's the midriff, it's popping out. He's staying up because he wants to watch Miss Nude America. I live for everything that Johnny Depp's character in this moment, fashion-wise, is presenting us. Especially because he's in the window and you get to see the silhouette and you get to see how much of the crop is showing. Crops, I think, need to make a comeback for men. Johnny Depp slays this look. Give it a slay. Slay. Slays the house down. Again, Nancy, though, in this final, she's serving a couple different moments. She puts on her jacket to cover up the pajamas that she has on, but eventually she's back to those pajamas that we saw her earlier in the film. With they look a little capri-esque, but I still think they should have been higher. And they're just plain white. Again, a lot of plain white. Are we doing the white for the imagery that white represents virginal? We can't really say that because Tina was wearing white, and look how she went out. Nancy, of course, is our virgin. So, but she gets to wear that jacket moment before she enters her dream sequence. Live, love, laugh for this jacket. I think it's fashion forward. I think she works it. I love how she accessorizes with it. And I love the phone too. She's having a moment with Freddy. I don't live for her final girl look at the very end of the film. I think they could have pumped it up just a little bit. What could they have done to zhuzh up her look a little bit? Here's what I would have done. Not white. Number one, not white. I get that she's your final girl, and I get that you want to put her in white. I just think it could have been a little bit more upgraded. Maybe put a sweater with it. Maybe like an elongated, you know those sweaters that women wear when they're cold and they've just lost their husband? And they're talking over doing the laundry and they're having a glass of wine and they're just draped in the fabric. I think something that was elongated and draped so that Freddy could grab it and slash at it and you could see the holes as she's running. I think it could have looked fierce and fabulous. However, she just serves me this like white number, and I think it could have been zhuzhed up just to a 10. Just to a 10. Our last character, and again, this is what I said at the very beginning of the movie. I don't know if this is supposed to be a daytime look, and I don't know if this is supposed to be a nighttime look. I honestly think Marge just woke up wearing this. To me, this looks like a nurse outfit. It's elongated, it's got the buttons. It makes her look really small, really skinny. I live. I say work, Marge. You got pulled through a frickin' door. And she's wearing this iconic look with the buttons. It looks interesting. There was just more to it than Nancy's just basic ass pajamas. So I live for what Marge is presenting in the very last act. And I love what she talks about, you know, once you bottomed out, you can't remember the next morning or you can't remember the night before. Everything that she's saying is so iconic because you're talking about your alcoholism as so nonchalantly to your daughter as she's about to get picked up from school. I know this is like a dream sequence. I just think, to me, it's fashion forward. To me, it's the epitomes of 1984 fashion, and I think she worked this look. And I think there's something to be said about her fitting through that door, but Tatum not being able to fit through the garage door and scream. Oh my God, I never even thought about that connection. Wes Craven likes to have a lot of people being shoved through tight spaces. The People Under the Stairs comes to mind. Live, laugh, love, having it, loving it. I'm gonna give a slay for Mars. That's all the time we have for part 2. Thank you so much for joining me. Smash that subscribe button if you already have it to see even more spooky Halloween content. Every day is Halloween on my channel, and our next video is gonna be the ranking of all 11 Michael Myers Halloween films. We love the Halloween series here. Bye, Halloweenies.